The family party. I found my daughter's head shaved. My sister laughed. Just a joke. I slapped her and walked out. Behind me, Mom cursed, bastard child. But the next morning, Mom came begging, please give your sister a way to live.
I'm Barbara Mitchell, and I thought family drama meant petty arguments over holiday plans or forgotten chores. Nothing like this. At my daughter's 18th birthday party in a California park, her piercing scream from the changing tent sliced through the barbecue laughter. I bolted inside, heart racing, and stopped dead. Her long dark hair was strewn across the ground, her scalp bare, glinting faintly in the tent's dim light. She was sobbing, hands clutching her face, while my sister stood there, smirking in a floral dress, clippers buzzing softly on a nearby table. What the hell did you do? I demanded, voice trembling with rage. She laughed, that smug chuckle she uses to dodge trouble. It's just a joke. Sis, she'll laugh it off soon. My hand flew before I could think slap, sharp and echoing. I grabbed my daughter's arm, pulling her past gaping relatives, and stormed to the car, behind us. Mom's voice cut like a knife, bastard child. You always stir up trouble. I didn't look back. The next morning, Mom appeared at my door, eyes swollen, voice barely a whisper. Please, give your sister a way to live. That moment unraveled a secret that would tear our family apart forever. If you've ever faced a family betrayal that flipped your world, hit like and subscribe for raw, gripping stories like this. Share your own drama in the comments below. I felt fury surge through me like a wave. Get out, I snapped, slamming the door in her face. Her words hung in the air, but they only fueled my resolve, no more giving in. My mind reeled back to the party chaos, the tense flap still flapping in my memory. After the slap, my sister clutched her cheek, her eyes wide. I had to stop her from going to the after party, she murmured, glancing at my daughter, who huddled in the corner, shaking. I stepped closer, breath hot. Stop her from what? I hissed. She fumbled for her phone, hands trembling, and thrust it forward. Photos filled the screen marks on my daughter's arms, bruised impressions from fingers gripping too tight, others on her ribs, hidden spots where clothes covered the damage. That boyfriend of hers, my sister explained, voice dropping. I caught him roughing her up behind the school gym last week. He's been doing this for months. I scrolled through the images, a chill spreading in my gut. My daughter looked up, her face pale, and nodded slowly. It's true, Mom, she whispered, fresh tears spilling. My husband burst in then, his frame rigid, muscles coiled like springs. He took the phone from me, his expression darkening as he saw the marks. How long? He growled, turning to our daughter, his voice cracking with barely contained anger. She shrank back, wiping her face. Since spring, she admitted, her words barely audible. He paced the tent floor, fists clenched, then knelt beside her. Why hide it? He asked, softer now, though his body stayed tense. She shrugged, staring at the ground. He said I'd lose everything if I told. The confession hit like a punch. Mixing shock with guilt, we'd missed the signs. But my sister hadn't. I pocketed the phone, knowing this was just the beginning. That evening, Tyler pounded on our front door like he owned the place. I opened it a crack, seeing his face twisted in anger under the porch light. He demanded to know why Amber wasn't answering his calls. I blocked the doorway, telling him to leave before things got worse. Tyler pushed forward, yelling that Cynthia was lying about everything. He claimed the bruises were from a fall during a hike last week, nothing to do with him. Amber peeked from the hallway, her voice shaking as she told him to go, but Tyler ignored her, stepping inside uninvited. Anthony came downstairs, his jaw set tight. He stood beside me, warning Tyler to back off. Tyler laughed, pulling out his phone. He said he'd prove we were all crazy. Then he turned to Anthony, smirking. He mentioned that day at the school parking lot 2 weeks ago. Anthony's face drained of color. I asked what he meant. Anthony admitted he'd seen a mark on Amber's neck during dinner and confronted Tyler after class. He'd grabbed Tyler's collar against his car, threatening to end him if he laid a hand on Amber again. Tyler had recorded the whole thing secretly. He played a snippet the audio clear with Anthony's voice growling the threat. Tyler waved the phone, saying his dad would bury us in court if we kept this up. I felt my temper flare, but kept calm. I asked Amber if Tyler had ever recorded her too. She nodded, whispering about times he'd filmed arguments to twist later. Tyler snapped at her to shut up, calling her dramatic. That pushed me over. I grabbed my own phone, starting to record him right there. Tyler lunged for it, but Anthony stepped between us, shoving him back. Tyler stumbled, cursing. He threatened to call the cops on Anthony for assault again. I told him to try it, that we had proof of his real crimes. Tyler's eyes narrowed. He said no one would believe Amber over him. His family had connections in Albuquerque. He mocked Cynthia as a jealous aunt, meddling in things she didn't understand. Amber started crying, begging him to stop. Tyler softened his tone. Trying to pull her aside, he whispered promises to fix everything if she'd just come with him. I yanked her back, slamming the door in his face. But Tyler didn't leave. He banged on the window, yelling, "We'd regret this." Neighbors' lights flicked on. Aaron must have heard the commotion. Tyler finally stormed to his truck, tires screeching as he sped off into the desert night. Inside, Anthony paced the kitchen, admitting he'd messed up by not telling me about the confrontation. He worried the video would make him look like the aggressor. I hugged him, saying we'd face it together. Amber sat at the table, her hands clasped tight. She revealed Tyler had used similar threats before to keep her quiet about the pushes and grabs. I noted everything down, adding to our file. Anthony suggested locking the doors extra tight tonight, as we turned off the lights. I couldn't shake Tyler's parting words he'd make sure our family paid, but I pushed it aside, focusing on getting through the night. Tomorrow we'd take the next step. By morning, I was at the Albuquerque police station, Amber by my side, clutching my hand. I handed over the screenshots of Tyler's texts and Cynthia's photos of Amber's bruises. The officer, a stern woman named Karen Davis, listened as I explained how Tyler had been hurting Amber for months. She jotted notes, her eyes narrowing at the images of finger marks on Amber's wrists. I insisted we needed help now, before Tyler came back. Karen promised to send a patrol to watch our street and told us to get Amber's injuries checked at the hospital. We drove straight to Presbyterian Hospital, the desert sun glaring through the windshield. Amber was quiet, staring out the window, in the exam room. A doctor measured the bruises on her ribs and arms, her face grim as she documented each mark. A nurse snapped photos, noting dates for evidence. Amber flinched when they asked how long it had been happening. She whispered it started small grabs during fights, but got worse over months. The doctor confirmed it was abuse, recommending a counselor. I nodded, holding Amber's hand tighter, my throat burning with regret for not noticing sooner. Back home, Erin Wallace, our neighbor who ran a flower shop, knocked on our door. She'd seen Tyler's truck speeding off last night and heard rumors at the high school about his temper. Erin mentioned catching him yelling at Amber behind the gym once, his hands too rough. I thanked her, scribbling her account for the police. She hugged Amber, promising to check in later. As Erin left, Dorothy showed up unannounced, her face pale and eyes red. She begged me to forgive Cynthia, saying she'd only been trying to protect Amber. I cut her off, asking why she'd called me that name at the party. Dorothy hesitated, then admitted Cynthia was her daughter from another man, before she married my dad. The words hit hard. I'd grown up thinking we were full sisters. Dorothy claimed Cynthia acted out of love, shaving Amber's head to keep her safe from Tyler. She pleaded for me to drop the police report, saying it'd ruined Cynthia's life. She'd just lost her job at the mall. I shook my head, my voice steady. Cynthia's choices weren't my burden, and Amber's safety came first. Dorothy's eyes flashed with anger, accusing me of tearing the family apart. She stormed out, muttering about fixing this herself. I locked the door, my hand shaking from the weight of her secret. Anthony came home from the bank, his tie loose. I told him about Dorothy's visit and the hospital report. He cursed under his breath, saying we should have acted sooner. I showed him Aaron's notes, adding them to our file. Later, I called Karen Davis to update her with Aaron's story. She said they'd interviewed a teacher who'd seen Tyler corner Amber at school. The pieces were coming together, but I felt no relief. Amber was in her room, sketching to calm down. I sat with her, promising we'd get through this. She asked if Cynthia would get in trouble. I said we'd let the police decide. That night, I checked the locks twice, Tyler's threats echoing in my head. I emailed the hospital photos to Karen, ensuring our evidence was tight. Amber fell asleep with her sketchbook open, and I tucked her in, vowing to keep her safe no matter what. A few days later, Karen Davis called from the Albuquerque police station with news that turned my stomach. They'd searched Tyler's truck and found a small bag of pills hidden under the passenger seat. Karen said they were testing them, but suspected they were meant to harm Amber at a party he'd planned. Tyler was arrested that afternoon, hauled out of his house in cuffs while neighbors watched. I exhaled, gripping the phone, but the relief was short-lived. That evening, Ronald Reed, Tyler's father, called our house. His voice was sharp, a lawyer's tone, threatening to sue us for defamation and assault if we didn't drop the case. He claimed Anthony's parking lot stunt gave them leverage to ruin us. Anthony overheard, his face tense, muttering that Ronald's law firm had crushed bigger families than ours. I told Ronald we had proof texts, photos, hospital reports. He laughed, saying no judge would take a teenager's word over his son's. I hung up, my pulse racing, and added his call to our evidence log. The next morning, a woman from Child Protective Services named Linda Carter arrived at our door for a routine check. She interviewed Amber in her room, asking if she felt safe at home. Amber nodded, clutching a pillow, and explained how we were protecting her from Tyler. Linda spoke to Anthony and me in the kitchen, flipping through her clipboard. She reviewed the police report and hospital photos, then said our home was stable, but urged us to get Amber counseling. I agreed, scheduling a session for her that week as Linda left. Amber came downstairs, her eyes red. She said kids at school were whispering about her. Tyler's friends had started rumors, calling her a liar who faked her bruises for attention. One of them, a kid named Jake, slipped a note into her locker, saying Tyler just wanted to talk and fix things. Amber tore it up, but came home shaking. I photographed the note scraps and emailed them to Karen. She replied quickly, saying they'd add it to Tyler's file as harassment. I drove Amber to school the next day, noticing kids staring as we pulled into the lot. A girl from her class muttered something as Amber passed, loud enough for me to hear, calling her a drama queen. I walked Amber to the counselor's office, where a woman named Diane Torres promised to monitor the hallways. Diane said she'd heard other students complain about Tyler's crew before, and the school was taking it seriously. Back home, Anthony was on edge, checking his phone for updates from Karen. He worried Ronald's threats could backfire, especially with that video of him grabbing Tyler. I reminded him our evidence was stronger: Amber's bruises, the texts, Aaron's account. Karen called again, saying they'd confirmed the pills were a sedative, illegal for Tyler to have. She'd tracked down Jake, who admitted Tyler asked him to spike drinks at a party. Jake was scared, spilling everything to avoid trouble. I felt a chill, realizing how close Amber had come to danger. Anthony suggested we change her phone number to stop Tyler's friends from texting her. I called the provider right away, setting it up. Amber spent evenings sketching in her room, avoiding social media where rumors spread. I sat with her, listening as she described feeling like everyone was against her. I promised we'd fight this together. Cynthia called once, asking if Amber was okay, but I kept it short. Her role in this mess still stung, and I wasn't ready to talk. Dorothy sent a text, begging again to drop the charges, claiming Cynthia was falling apart without work. I deleted it, focusing on Amber's safety. Erin stopped by with a bouquet from her shop, saying the neighborhood was buzzing about Tyler's arrest. She'd heard his family was losing clients at Ronald's firm. People didn't trust them anymore. I thanked her, adding her gossip to our notes as weeks passed. Karen built a case, warning us Ronald was pulling strings to delay a hearing. I kept Amber close, driving her to school and back, watching for Tyler's friends. Every night, I checked her windows, the desert air heavy with tension. We were holding strong, but the fight was far from over. 2 months later, we sat in the Albuquerque courtroom, the air thick with tension. Amber gripped my hand under the table, her face pale but determined. The judge, a gray-haired woman with sharp eyes, called the case. Karen Davis stood with the prosecutor, presenting our evidence hospital photos, Tyler's texts, Erin's statement, and Jake's confession about the party plan. Ronald Reed, in a slick suit, leaned close to Tyler, whispering strategies. His legal team tried to paint Tyler as a misunderstood teen, claiming Amber's injuries were from sports and the texts were just playful banter. I clenched my fists, biting back a retort. The prosecutor called Amber to the stand. She walked up, her voice steady despite trembling hands, describing how Tyler controlled her life, dictating her clothes, isolating her from friends, grabbing her hard enough to leave marks. She recounted an incident at a school dance where he'd pinned her against a wall, hissing threats if she talked to other guys. The courtroom went silent, jurors leaning forward. Amber's eyes met mine, and I nodded, urging her to keep going. Next, Cynthia took the stand, her posture stiff. She admitted shaving Amber's head, explaining she'd overheard Tyler's plan to harm her at a party. She played a video she'd recorded secretly, a shaky clip of Tyler bragging to Jake about spiking Amber's drink to keep her quiet. The jurors' faces hardened, one woman shaking her head. Ronald objected, arguing the video was inadmissible, but the judge overruled, saying it was recorded in a public park with no expectation of privacy. Tyler's smirk faded, his hands fidgeting. The prosecutor brought up the pills found in Tyler's truck, confirmed as sedatives meant to incapacitate. Karen testified about Jake's statement, sealing Tyler's intent. Ronald's team scrambled, insisting it was all a misunderstanding, but their argument sounded hollow. The judge called a recess, and I hugged Amber outside, telling her she was brave. Anthony joined us, his eyes red but proud. Cynthia lingered nearby, trying to catch my eye. I ignored her, still raw from her actions and Dorothy's betrayal. Back in the courtroom, the jury returned after 3 hours. The foreman stood, voice clear, guilty on charges of assault, conspiracy to harm, and possession of illegal substances. Tyler's shoulders slumped, Ronald's face turning red as he whispered furiously to his lawyers. The judge set sentencing for the following week, warning Tyler to expect jail time. As we left, Ronald cornered us in the hallway, his voice low and venomous. He vowed to appeal, claiming we'd regret dragging his family's name through the mud. I stared him down, saying our evidence spoke louder than his threats. He stormed off, leaving Tyler alone, head bowed, outside. Dorothy was waiting by our car, her hands wringing. She begged me to talk, to forgive Cynthia for what she did out of love. I cut her off, my voice cold. Their secrets and excuses had cost us enough. Cynthia stood behind her, silent, eyes downcast. I told them both I was done. No more family ties, no more chances. Amber squeezed my arm, nodding in agreement. We walked away, leaving them standing in the courthouse lot. Anthony drove us home, the desert stretching wide around us. Amber leaned against me in the back seat. whispering thanks for standing by her. I kissed her forehead, promising we'd rebuild together. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, the case file closed. Tyler's conviction felt like a weight lifted, but Dorothy and Cynthia's pleas echoed in my mind. I pushed them aside, knowing my choice was right. Amber deserved a fresh start. And so did I. We'd face the next steps without their baggage. A week after the trial, Tyler was sentenced to 2 years in juvenile detention, with 3 years of probation and mandatory counseling. Karen called to say he'd already caused trouble, picking fights with smaller kids in the facility, just like he'd done with Amber. His family's name carried no weight there, and Ronald's appeals failed, the judge citing Tyler's pattern of aggression in Albuquerque. Word spread fast. Ronald's law firm took a hit clients pulled out, unwilling to trust a man whose son was a convicted abuser. Aaron texted me updates, saying neighbors avoided their family, whispering about the scandal. I didn't care about their downfall. My focus was Amber. She started therapy at a local clinic, meeting a counselor named Laura Perez twice a week. Laura helped her unpack the fear Tyler had instilled, teaching her to recognize red flags in relationships. Amber opened up slowly, admitting she'd felt trapped for months, blaming herself for his anger. I sat in on family sessions, learning to listen without pushing. Anthony joined too, leaving work early to be there, something he'd never done before. Amber's confidence grew. She joined the school art club, her sketches turning bolder, filled with desert colors. I framed one of her drawings, a cactus under a blazing sun, and hung it in our living room. Dorothy and Cynthia, though, became ghosts in our lives. Aaron mentioned Cynthia lost her apartment after her job at the mall ended, moving in with Dorothy in a cramped rental on the edge of town. Neighbors stopped inviting them to barbecues, their reputations stained by the trial's fallout. Dorothy sent one last letter, her handwriting shaky, begging for a chance to explain. She claimed Cynthia's act saved Amber, that I owed them forgiveness. I tore it up, tossing it in the trash. Their secret, Cynthia's parentage, their lies had broken us beyond repair. I blocked their numbers, cutting them off for good. Amber asked about them once, her voice soft. I told her we didn't need people who hurt us, even if they were family. She nodded, understanding more than I expected. Anthony and I focused on rebuilding our home. We started weekly dinners, just the 3 of us, talking about school or work over plates of enchiladas. Amber laughed more, her smile returning. I took on extra tutoring jobs at the elementary school, saving a few $100s a month to cover therapy costs. One evening, Erin invited us to her flower shop's anniversary party. Amber mingled with neighbors, her short hair now styled in a pixie cut she loved. She told me it reminded her she'd survived, thanks to us standing firm. I watched her chat with a new friend, a girl from art club, and felt a surge of pride. My own life shifted too. I joined a book club at the local library, meeting women who shared stories of cutting toxic ties. Their support grounded me, reminding me I wasn't alone. One night, Amber showed me a flyer for a teen advocacy group at her school, focused on dating abuse awareness. She wanted to speak at their first event, to help others spot warning signs like she hadn't. I hugged her, saying she was stronger than she knew. Anthony backed her up, offering to drive her to meetings. As months passed, our house felt lighter, free from the weight of Dorothy and Cynthia's drama. I stood in our backyard one evening, the desert breeze cool against my skin. Amber was inside, sketching at the kitchen table, her laughter drifting out. I'd built a life for us, one where trust and safety came first. The lesson was hard-won. Family isn't about blood, it's about who stands by you when it counts. Cutting off those who hurt us wasn't betrayal, it was survival. Amber and I were proof of that, and no one could take it away.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. *.